Catalan minister Joaquim Forn will remain in prison. The Spanish Supreme Court denied him his freedom on bail today, saying he could repeat the offenses he's accused of, basically declaring independence. This, although Forn stepped down as an MP. Hello, and welcome to Catalan News. It's been 3 months since 8 deposed Catalan ministers were sent to prison. 2 of them are still in pre-trial jail, and they won't be out anytime soon. In January, the judge in charge of the independence case decided to keep Vice President Oriol Junqueras incarcerated, and today he made the same decision for Home Affairs Minister Joaquim Forn. Here at Catalan News, we'll look into this issue with the help of a university professor. He'll also help us find out whether the officials accused of rebellion by the Spanish authorities could be barred from office, even before trial. The Spanish Supreme Court decided to keep the deposed Catalan Home Affairs Minister Joaquim Forn in jail. Stepping down as an MP and holding no public office was not enough of a reason to be freed for the judge. Forn is accused of rebellion, sedition, and misuse of funds for the events that led to the Declaration of Independence. And the judge thinks he could commit the same crimes again. He's been in prison for a long time.
It's been 92 days since Joaquim Forn and his Catalan government colleagues entered prison. They face criminal charges for declaring independence despite firm opposition from Spain. Eventually they would all be released, all except the Vice President, 2 grassroots activists and Forn himself. And, according to the judge handling the case in Spain's Supreme Court, Forn's time in jail is not likely to end soon. A request for release was denied today. In a recent hearing, Forn renounced unilateral means to achieve independence. He also gave up his seat as an MP. However, the judge says that Forn still poses a risk of repeat offending. The judge does not believe that Forn has actually abandoned his ideology and says that his ideas were the reason he was appointed minister in the first place. The judge adds that Forn's political beliefs exist in a context in which it is not clear whether a majority of people in Catalonia have effectively renounced unilateral independence, that is, independence in defiance of Spanish law. Last October, when Catalonia held a contested referendum on independence, Forn was the Home Affairs Minister. That put him in charge of Catalonia's own police force, the Mossos. While the Spanish police cracked down on voters, the Mossos only intervened when they could avoid confrontation with the public. This week, the Spanish colonel in charge of the operation accused the Catalan police of being too passive and said that compliance with the law should come above preserving social harmony.
Judicially speaking, this has been an intense week, ending today with the judge's decision. In order to understand the most recent developments and how they relate to the political situation, we can speak now to Marc Balcells. He's a professor of criminology at the Open University of Catalonia. Mr. Balcells, welcome.
Hello, Rachel.
Today, the Spanish Supreme Court said that Joaquim Forn cannot leave prison yet. Forn recently resigned as an MP, and he already gave up on unilateral means to achieve independence. So how can you explain the judge's decision?
Well, once again, Judge Llarena, which is examining magistrate in this case, has decided just to make a prediction of future, and based on another witness saying that, the passivity of the Catalan police, it was enough just to, grant that he could not leave the prison just because there was a risk of reoffending once again. So in that sense, the problem is that Mr. Llarena is making this future prediction when in reality there is not much basis for this claim.
Spain's justice minister said this week that as early as next spring, the Supreme Court could bar 28 officials who are currently under investigation from holding public office. But how would that really come into effect? For instance, what about Puigdemont and the ministers who are in Belgium?
Well, I mean, that article exists, and procedurally speaking, it could happen. However, it's very rare that it could be applied to Mr. Puigdemont and the other politicians in exile or in Belgium, and that's because, well, first of all, you have to be in prison in order to be applied this article, and therefore they are not. And they were always volunteering to just, declare in front of the judge, even telematically speaking. So in that sense, now that there is no order of season warrant, well, that's a problem. They would have to reenact once again the court in order to just declare them outside justice and for them to be brought in. But without prison, it's practically impossible to be applying that article.
Catalan leaders face different criminal charges, with rebellion being the most severe. So that's the one that would allow the Supreme Court to bar those under investigation from public office. But many people have questioned if this crime can really be applied to what's going on in Catalonia. What do you think?
Well, actually, this article really demands that, you know, the offenders must be prosecuted for a crime of rebellion, either, or terrorism. And when this article was not very clear, the highest court, the Constitutional Court in 1987, ruled that, you know, rebellion is being understood, legally speaking, as, you know, you have to be completely attached to a group where they have weapons and they have weapon arsenal, and they have to have this structure in order to just be able to execute this rebellion, which is clearly not the case going on in here, and that's exactly the problem that they will have to face. However, Magistrate Llarena can just reinterpret once again this article, which is what we are being accustomed lately to have new interpretations. So we will see where his interpretation might take this whole new scope of understanding this concept of rebellion. So far, though, I do understand that it cannot be applied as it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balcells.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Judiciary and politics continue to be intertwined in Catalonia. 40 days after the election, there is still no new president for the country. Carles Puigdemont's bid for the post is being questioned by Madrid, and while this is clarified, the pro-independence party, Esquerra, warned that it will not risk putting more pro-independence officials in prison in order to swear Puigdemont in.
Pro-independence Esquerra is not willing to risk the imprisonment of more politicians by swearing in Carles Puigdemont as president. The Catalan deposed president is the candidate for the post again, but Madrid has challenged it. While the Spanish Constitutional Court is to take a final decision on the issue in the coming days, Esquerra's Marta Rovira said that more negative legal effects for officials have to be avoided. She also called on the pro-independence bloc to choose someone who can effectively take office.
Per nosaltres és fonamental que la investidura no impliqui improvisacions, que la investidura es faci sense garanties i sobretot que la investidura no sigui efectiva i a més impliqui conseqüències penals per moltíssima gent.
In an interview with the Catalan news agency, she said her party's candidate is still Puigdemont, but she called on his candidacy, Junts per Catalunya, to say how they plan to swear him in so that he can effectively take office. She also called on the other pro-independence parties to agree on a plan for the whole political term. Puigdemont's team claims they have got a plan for the investiture, but it hasn't yet revealed it. Meanwhile, the Spanish government remains determined to bar Puigdemont from office. Its spokesman said today that an alternative to him must be found.
El único reconocimiento que el gobierno cree que va a hacer el señor Puigdemont es ponerse a disposición de la justicia y no entorpecer ya el proceso normal de investidura del presidente de la Generalidad.
The leader of Unionist Ciutadans, Inés Arrimadas, said that having a symbolic president is fantasy. She made these remarks the day after the jailed Esquerra's leader, Oriol Junqueras, proposed having two presidents for Catalonia, one that can take office effectively and a symbolic one as well.
Moving on to economy now. It turns out that the two banks with the most clients in Catalonia have weathered the political storm well, despite fears of how the crisis between the Catalan and Spanish governments might affect them. Both CaixaBank and Banc Sabadell closed 2017 with big profits. They also both moved their headquarters out of the country last autumn. In fact, CaixaBank finished 2017 with more than double the profit than the previous year, a record-breaking figure. The results were presented today at a press conference in Valencia, where the bank now has its headquarters. And Banc Sabadell, now based in Alacant, did a good job of riding the waves of the political turmoil as well, closing the year with over 800 million euros in net profit. For both banks, the political situation in the country played a key role in 2017. In fact, the president of CaixaBank made reference to it today, calling for dialogue between both governments.
Nosotros siempre hemos defendido la vía del diálogo, la vía del acuerdo, la vía del pacto y la vía del respeto de la legalidad vigente como manera de que avancen sociedades complejas como son la sociedad española y también la sociedad catalana.
Today, we also learned about some new data regarding employment. In January, some 5,000 Catalans lost their jobs. This is the worst figure for this month since 2015. This ends up as a 1.1 rise in unemployment, below the 1.7 increase in Spain as a whole. These figures are related to temporary contracts in the commercial sector coming to an end on December 31st. Now, around 420,000 people are jobless in the country, Most of them are in the Barcelona region. Yesterday, we ended our show with some troubling environmental news from the West about a struggling natural habitat. Today, instead, we finish our program with a reason to be optimistic. The population of wintering birds in the river region of the Ebra Delta in southern Catalonia clocked in at over 257,000. While this figure is still far from the all-time high of 300,000, it's still 7% more than the average from the years 2005 to 2010. So enjoy a bit of bird watching from the comfort of your own home. And you might be surprised to see something you might not expect in Catalonia: flamingos. We hope you like it, and we'll be back on Monday.